Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another super awesome, exciting, wonderful, educational, inspirational edition of the Star Wide Lounge podcast.
Inspirational? The fuck episode are you listening to?
I feel like the fact that this podcast continues to exist is inspirational.
That is true.
Because we
did take last week off, for those of you who weren't fully paying attention.
Just busy, man.
Just busy. I actually kind of thought we were going to take this weekend off. Like, I almost was just ready to just be like, no, let's take it off. Because for those of you who don't know, it's Comic-Con weekend.
Yes.
And that's actually the subject of what we're talking about today. I've got a lot of work. Being a internet content creator focused around nerd culture, I had a lot to do. I've already done 4 videos in the last 3 days.
You've done a crazy amount of videos, got a new relationship that takes up some time.
Relationship's a strong word, but yeah.
Well, a relationship is just like any, like we have a relationship.
This is true. A very long relationship, which actually, funny story, I did the math. Our friendship is about a week younger than she is.
Wow. That's real, dude. So you've got shit going on. I've had my regular job and I've been working with this band. You've been helping out, but I've been doing a lot of work with this local band. It's been a lot of fun. I've been
Lumbercat, by the way, check them out.
Cycling like crazy.
They're on all the major platforms. Check them out.
Yeah, their EP's on Spotify.
Yeah,
they released a new song, I think, today, maybe.
Something like that. I really like their stuff. I legitimately will listen to them when we're not working for them.
I need to figure out, there's one particular song of theirs that I actually legitimately fucking really dig. I don't know the name of it though, because it's not on their EP. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But anyways, Comic-Con. Yeah. It's a big time.
It's a thing.
For nerd culture. It's a big time for cinema. It's a big time for Marvel, and we're going to get into that. I want to try to talk about the things that were talked about and announced outside of Marvel, but as of the recording of this podcast, it's Sunday. It's also the day of release. I'm going to edit this and then release it immediately after. But the Marvel panel was last night, and they crushed it. There was some big stuff before, but it's Marvel. They basically announced Phase 4.
Phase 4. We did have some speculative ideas about Phase 4 and whether they would just kind of chill on the films for a while or just focus on Disney Plus for a while. It seems like they're just going to do both, where they're going to just release films and focus on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I will say that they are chilling on the films in that it looks like they're releasing 2 films a year as opposed to 3 for a while, at least that we know of. So, but then there's also Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So it's kind of are you guys really chilling? But anyways, let's, before we get into that, Owen, you saw a movie a few days ago.
I did. I saw a movie Friday night.
Yes, and you want to do a real quickie review. So
we've done this a couple times with a movie, a sort of not really that big a deal movie that came out that only one of us saw.
Now, I haven't seen this movie, and to be honest with you, I don't really know much about it.
Yeah, so this movie, a very small independent film called The Art of Self-Defense. So this movie stars Jesse Eisenberg. He's probably the only actor in the movie that anyone would immediately recognize. Now, I'm not the biggest Jesse Eisenberg fan. I think he's good in the right role, and this was the right role.
Which, I could think of a few roles that definitely weren't the right role for him.
This was the perfect Jesse Eisenberg role. So the basic premise is he plays this accountant named Casey, who's very timid and shy and meek and very mild-mannered, and he is buying dog food late at night one night, and he gets mugged and beaten pretty brutally, and then he signs up for karate classes. And throughout the film, he's taking these karate classes, and he gets closer to the sensei of the dojo. And not to get into spoilers, it takes a very, very, very dark turn at the end of Act 2, beginning of Act 3.
Are we talking like audition dark?
Remember the movie we talked about? This was probably one of our first 10 episodes. We talked about films going straight to digital.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the films we watched, it was a Sundance movie called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore.
Yeah, that was shortly after I moved to Reno.
Yeah.
We did that episode.
And so that movie
got dark.
Yeah, it does this. It does a similar thing where the very like kind of mundane things happen, and a character who is kind of shit on by the world like
stumbles into something pretty gnarly.
And so that's the basic premise of the movie. It's very critical of views on modern like masculinity. It was enjoyable. It was a really good example of black comedy. I think black comedies are pretty difficult to pull off.
Yeah, because with black comedy, when you're trying to attempt a black comedy, it's really easy to fall on either side of that genre descriptor. You're either going to wind up going too far into the comedy, and it's going to lose some of the sort of blackness up to it, or you're going to go too far into kind of like the horrible disturbingness. Like a good example of like black comedy that immediately sprung to mind to me, and some people would classify this as a horror, some people would classify this as just a comedy of errors kind of thing, but it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It is very much a black comedy, and I think that one just barely walks that line, and it's a masterpiece. So like that's saying something. Yeah,
the first thing I jump to when I think of a black comedy is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
That's a good example.
Which Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 kind of goes more into the black part of black comedy. I think Kiss Kiss Bang Bang definitely leans way more into just the straight comedy part. This one definitely walks the line pretty well, and one of the reasons is the actors deliver the lines so seriously. Like they say some, like especially the sensei says some fucking absurd shit that is obviously funny, but it's played so straight that it really like toes that line. And they did some really interesting things with the camera work. Because generally when you're watching a movie and the director or the cinematographer wants to make one of the characters feel isolated from the rest of the world, you generally have a lot of close-ups, a lot of blurred backgrounds, just put them apart from the scene.
Yeah.
But they did something interesting where they had a lot of wide shots. There's one scene in a locker room where these two guys are talking to each other, and Jesse Eisenberg's character's in the background kind of like changing and putting his stuff in a locker. And the actors in the foreground who are talking, who are essentially the subject of the shot, are out of focus. And Jesse Eisenberg is focused in the background, even though he's not really doing anything. And then occasionally he'll like dip behind the actors in the foreground, and they're still out of focus. So it really adds to that level of like, he doesn't fit in, he's isolated, he's different from everybody in sort of a different way, and I really enjoyed that.
Interesting. Definitely one that I want to check out. I just haven't really necessarily had the time.
Well, I mean, it just came out Friday.
Yeah. Well, and as I said, like with Comic-Con and everything, it's been absolutely bonkers.
But yeah, interesting film. I don't think it's going to be everyone's cup of tea by any means. If you're a fan of black comedy and you like stuff that's a bit subversive, I would recommend it to people. I'm not gonna sit here and guarantee you'll love it if you go see it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Interesting film.
All right, so that was Owen's review of that film. If you want, you can go check it out. It sounds like Owen recommends it, but be a bit informed, maybe, of what you're seeing to see if it would be something.
The trailer does a good job of giving you the tone of the film without giving anything away.
Yeah.
So watch the trailer. If you're kind of interested, go check it out. If you think it looks stupid, then don't bother.
Fair enough. All right, so let's transition then into the main topic of this episode. By the way, did we introduce ourselves?
I mean, if there's a description in the thing.
I'm John. He's Owen. There, we're done. Anyways, so Comic-Con. A lot of movie, television related stuff came out. Let's kind of go roughly chronological as far as like what we saw, at least. I think
this will be interesting because you have been plugged into this since the beginning.
I have literally like numerous feeds coming in at any point in time. I got people sending me messages being like, hey, this was announced. Hey, this was talked about. Hey, we got a trailer for this. Obviously, I'm following Twitter.
The only news I got was you messaged me about Blade, and then for the first time all weekend, I checked Twitter this morning.
But I feel like a good starting point would be there was a like kind of pre-con event almost called Scare Diego, where they showed the final trailer for It Chapter 2.
Oh, yeah.
Which I believe I sent you.
I watched it at work on Friday.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I really, I loved the first trailer for It Chapter 2. Like, to me, that's what I want to see in that movie.
Yeah. The thing with the whole, like, old lady.
Yeah, like, I remember we reviewed it pretty early on in the life of this podcast. And we were definitely generally positive about it. My biggest critique of the movie was that the separation between the horror scenes and the non-horror scenes was so stark that I always knew when a horror scene was happening.
Yeah, It Chapter 1 wasn't really scary.
No, it was enjoyable film.
It was good film. It was well made. The child actors did a good job.
I thought
the directing was on point.
I thought that Bill Skarsgård was adequately creepy as hell.
Yeah.
But just the way it was like there wasn't enough of a blend of like the horror bits, because I remember the one part that really got to me was when I forget the names of the children, but there was the one who was getting bullied by the river.
That's Ben.
Yeah.
Or Mike.
I think it was Mike.
Was it the black kid or the fat kid?
It was the black kid.
Then that was Mike Hanlon.
So he was getting bullied by the river by those guys, and then like he just looks up and sees Pennywise across the river, like holding an arm.
Yeah.
Like
which you're led to kind of believe might be Georgie's arm, because it was the same arm that he took off of Georgie.
And that scene was perfect because it's like inserting the horror into the kid stuff, which didn't happen enough in the movie. So this one, I'm really hopeful that it is more of that.
Yeah. One thing that, so like the stars and everything, the stars and the directors and the writers and everybody were at the event, and they were talking about like what they're doing with this film. And it sounds like in addition to the adult stuff, they're also going to do more child stuff, because the idea is like the children like repressed the like really bad stuff that they saw. And so we're going to see like
some flashbacks.
We're going to see stuff from when they were kids that was like even worse than the stuff that we saw in the first one. So, which, I mean, that's what you want from a horror sequel. You want it to ramp up.
Yeah.
You want it to be bigger and badder. We're also apparently getting there was a deleted scene from It Chapter 1 that we never saw, because apparently they're using it in It Chapter 2, which is like the human origins of Pennywise.
Oh, yeah.
Which the trailer had.
They kind of teased that in the trailer.
Had a bit of that. Which does differ from the book. Now the question would be like, is he still going to be a
space monster?
A like space spider god thing that's rival is a turtle.
Space turtle.
Or is it gonna be a regular dude who went real bad and like something happened to him and now he's this supernatural being? I don't know. We'll have to see. I still stand by that. I think that there's that with Dark Tower, they kind of screwed the pooch on the opportunity of doing a Stephen King cinematic universe. Because I think if any existing property lends itself to being a cinematic universe, it's Stephen King stuff, because he's done such a good job over the decades of linking everything together in very subtle ways that it'd be great to have seen that. And who knows, maybe It Chapter 2 will set something like that up.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, and also one thing that really excites me about It Chapter 2 is just the cast is stellar.
Oh, yeah. I will, as I said, I wrote a script for a trailer breakdown for Screen Rant. I didn't wind up editing it, but I voiced it. about the Chapter 2 trailer. And one thing that I said in it was I will literally never complain about seeing Jessica Chastain or James McAvoy in anything.
No.
Like, even when they're in movies that aren't great, they're probably like some of the best parts of it. Oops. Except for X-Men Dark Phoenix. Jessica Chastain was a nothing character.
Well, yeah, they didn't...
Which might just come down to the fact that she was a nothing character.
She was a nothing character, and her whole character was that she didn't have a character?
Yeah. I don't necessarily if that one's her fault, so I don't blame her. Molly's Game made up for that way more than anything. But, so, yeah.
Stoked for that.
Also, just looking at that cast, like, when you look at the adult actors that they cast next to the child actors... This is some fucking fantastic casting. The kid playing shit.
It's hard to remember the names of the kids.
The hypochondriac.
Yeah.
His actor, I agree with what Jeremy John said. It looks like the child actor is a time traveler. And he just like came forward in time and it's actually the same guy.
Well, also, I think one of the things that's exciting about It Chapter 2 is that most people who are familiar with the story is not from the book, it's from the miniseries. And everyone remembers the first part of it.
Yeah.
But the second part of it was kind of ass.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's that way in the book, too. The adult sections are definitely the weakest part of the book.
So hopefully they can do that part of the story more justice, and that I think people... It has more opportunity to be scary because everyone knows the story beats of the first half, but people might not be as familiar with the story beats of the second half, and that maybe they can take it in new directions if they want to, because that part of the story isn't as beloved as the first part.
I'm interested, especially in this day and age of awareness of this issue. Real quick, I'm going to give you a warning for spoilers on a 30-year-old book. So... And I'm only doing this because the film's coming out, so it's going to be relevant.
Yeah.
So just skip ahead, like literally like 2 or 3 minutes if you don't want something spoiled. All right, 3, 2, 1. I'm interested in how they're going to do the Stan suicide. Because you remember, the little Jewish boy grew up, and when he heard the Pennywise is coming back,
he just killed himself.
He killed himself. That was actually the end of part 1 of the miniseries. Was his wife walks in on. He had slit his wrists in the bathtub and he wrote "it" on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm curious how they're going to approach that because like suicide is such like a touchy subject these days. Rightly so. It's not something to be messed around with. My theory is in the trailer, you see an adult like struggling in water and he sees Pennywise. My theory is that they're going to basically infer that Pennywise actually killed him and that like just made it look like a suicide.
Maybe.
So I'm interested to see.
I mean, I'm assuming that's the like inciting incident of the story that like everyone comes back because of that, whatever that was.
I know that in the book and in the miniseries that wasn't like kids started going missing in Derry. Mike Hanlon, who stayed in Derry as opposed to everybody else, he still remembers because when you grow up and you leave, you don't remember about Pennywise. But he is like, oh no, I know what's happening. This is Pennywise. It's been 27 years. Like he's back, and then he calls people. And when he calls people, it like jogs their memory, and like Stan just like freaks the fuck out because he was a little bitch when he was a little kid, so he could continue to be a little bitch as an adult. But yeah, interesting to see how they're gonna do that. Even though you can't scrub through this and see a preview, now spoilers are over. So there you go. But yeah, so I was excited to see that trailer. I'm pretty pumped to see that movie. September, I'm going to be there. I will watch it with my eyeballs. Also, I find that over the last year or two, I've become more of a horror fan, so I'm kind of like on board for it.
There's a reason I haven't gone to see Midsummer quite yet.
Yeah.
Because still sometimes going to horror movies like, but...
Yeah, you definitely, I think you need to be in a mood at a certain point. But, I mean, if you look at my movie collection over here, you're seeing that like more and more horror movies are popping up. I mean, I got the Chucky Blu-ray collection over there.
Yeah.
I was never a Chucky fan before, like, last year. So, but, yeah, that's going to be pretty good. The next film that I think, like, there was anything of note talked about would probably be Terminator Dark Fate. Which I can tell just by your facial expression that you give literally zero fucks.
Dude, just let it go.
I'm with you.
Let it go. Has there been a good Terminator film since T2?
No. I'm with you, but
It looks good.
Here's the thing. I'm giving this film, this is Terminator's last chance. Like, as far as I'm concerned, this has what it takes to potentially be good. It's got James Cameron back on board. He helped come up with the story. It's got Tim Miller's directing. I mean, he did Deadpool really well. I trust him. Linda Hamilton is back. Like, Eddie Furlong is back for some reason. Like, not that that's a selling point for the movie because he's batshit psycho. But it'd be like if they said we were bringing Gary Busey back for The Predator. Like, nobody
gives a shit.
Nobody gives a shit. But like, I look at this film and I'm like, okay. And especially like because they released some behind the scenes footage and they released some other stuff at Comic-Con. I'm like, all right, Terminator, I'm gonna give you this because this does look better than Genesis. Isn't hard
because the trailer for Genesis was balls.
Yes, I've taken some dumps that look better than Genesis, but this is its last chance. If this film isn't decent, it doesn't even have to be good. Just be decent. If it's not decent, Terminator's over. Just call it, go home.
Remember how cool the trailer for Terminator Salvation looked?
Even that I didn't think looked that cool.
Dude, I was hyped for that movie because it was like, oh, we're actually like in the war, like we're in the robot war. I mean, we got adult John Connor.
That was kind of cool. I think that my excitement for Salvation was lacking because I saw Terminator 3. And so I was like, well, this is ass. I don't know why. Like,
also, that was like post Dark Knight Christian Bale, so everyone was like, fuck yeah.
Was it post Dark Knight or was it post Batman Begins before?
I'm pretty sure it's post Dark Knight because Terminator Salvation came out in 2009, and I'm pretty sure Dark Knight was 2008.
That might be right.
So either way, it was post Batman Christian Bale. They didn't really advertise that Sam Worthington was in it and was the main character.
I mean, he popped up in the trailers because they did the whole like, what are you thing?
But they didn't really. The trailer led you to believe that Christian Bale as John Connor was the main character.
Switcherooed you because Sam Worthington was the main character and Christian Bale was like in it for like maybe 30% of the movie.
We had like a weird period of time in the late, like from like 2006 to 2011 where like Sam Worthington was in every goddamn movie. For no reason.
Now he's literally being kept alive by James Cameron's Avatar sequels. Like that is literally the only thing keeping him paid and like allowing him to pay his mortgage.
But
that's it.
To me, Terminator has become almost an Alien franchise of sorts because you have two fucking awesome movies from the 80s and 70s I don't think Terminator 1 came out in the 70s, but you have
two. I think it was like 80.
You have like two older movies in each franchise that are fucking awesome that everybody loves, that are universally loved because they're just really, really good movies. You have two of the best sequels of all time in T2 and Aliens. And then for some reason they just keep trying to keep this franchise alive and it never fucking works anymore.
Okay, but to Aliens' credit, they have two great films and then one okay one. Terminator can't even say that.
It's just ass.
It's like T2 happened, and then they're like, great, let's make another movie, and then just ass from there on. Like, Alien 3 is at least okay. Like, that's a decent, you accept it as the end of that trilogy. And you're like, it's done.
I mean, maybe Salvation wasn't ass, but it wasn't good.
Oh, it was bad. I would put Terminator 3 over Salvation in, like, rankings. That tells you something about fucking Salvation. Maybe, like, I just don't care about the whole, like, is he human? Is he a Terminator? He's a Terminator who thinks he's human, which is, like, the, like, big...
That was the dumbass choice.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you know what? We've had John Connor talked about. We've had him as a stupid-ass kid. Maybe let's just have John Connor as an adult fighting a war against robots. Maybe that should be your movie. Maybe? Yeah. Like, that doesn't seem that hard to do.
At least... it didn't shit the bed as hard as Genesis.
No.
With John Connor being a Terminator, that was stupid. Not only was he being Terminator, he by the end of that movie, he was fucking Skynet. Like, that's not like he was fucking Skynet. Like,
I know what you mean.
He was Skynet. Although that would be a better ending than
So I've got zero excitement for Dark Fate.
Yeah. As I said, for me, it's like you get this one last chance. And it's because James Cameron is on board. That is largely what it is.
I mean, that's what everyone thought about Prometheus and Covenant. It was like, we got Ridley Scott back, baby.
I know. That's why I'm like, I'm not getting hyped for it. I'm being hesitant because I'm like, I've been burned. Like, I'm not going back to that well. But, that is the thing. I would say the next, like, big announced thing didn't actually happen at Comic-Con. At least the next, like, thing that was announced around this time that was Comic-Con adjacent that I'm hyped about. I don't know how much you care, but that is Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Jason Blum and John Carpenter both announced that they're in 2020 we're getting Halloween Kills, and then in 2021 we are getting the end of the Michael Myers Laurie Strode story.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, that's when I retweeted John Carpenter's tweet about it, and I was like, yeah, I doubt that Halloween will ever end. Doesn't change that I'm hyped for this.
I mean, I'm not like hyped, but I'll watch it.
I'm all about it. Halloween 2018 was probably my favorite movie of that year.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it's not a great film, but I enjoyed it more than anything else that I saw. Okay, maybe obviously Infinity War, but that's like on another level.
I mean, I had a fun time watching it. I didn't think it was particularly that good.
I enjoyed it.
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Second best Halloween film by far.
Yeah, you're right.
Because, I mean, like, what's its competition? Halloween 2?
Halloween 2, which wasn't great.
Which was okay at best.
Where, like, Jamie Lee Curtis forgot how to act.
Basically. It was wearing a bad wig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
This is the better Halloween 2.
Yeah.
It's technically Halloween 2.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Halloween. I mean, I enjoyed... what was the guy's name? The jiu-jitsu guy?
I don't remember his name, but it was
that was the most disappointing part of the movie.
It was Judy Greer's husband.
When you have a character who says, yeah, we'll be fine, I know jiu-jitsu, and he doesn't do any jiu-jitsu in the movie.
See, I thought that would have been a great reference for to Halloween Resurrection with the whole, like, Busta Rhymes. Was it Busta Rhymes?
Probably.
I think it was.
Or LL Cool J.
No, it wasn't LL Cool J. That was Deep Blue Sea.
Well, it could have been in both.
I think it was Busta Rhymes who did the kung fu on Michael Myers at the end of the film.
Yeah.
It would have been a nice reference to that, to have him try jujitsu on Michael Myers
and just get insta-killed.
Fail horribly, and then he gets killed.
No, it would be so funny. He tries to do like a spinning back kick or something. He just grabs his leg and like breaks it and kills him instantly. I would have loved it. Would have been
a great moment.
I would have loved it.
Come on, House. You let me down.
No, I'll definitely watch those movies. I don't find Halloween films particularly frightening in any way.
I mean, they unnerve me. I would never say that they scared me. There were some moments in the original that scared me when he straight up kills that one chick in the car when he's like in her back seat. That gets me.
Yeah.
But outside of that, not really.
I mean, my thing about
it's probably my favorite slasher genre, like slasher franchise.
Oh yeah, I think it beats Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, at least when you're talking about like the big three.
Yeah,
by far.
I would have loved to see. I think I mentioned this before on the pod. Maybe my biggest thing in Halloween 2018 is that to me the most interesting thing that happened is when the doctor like went nuts and like wanted to like.
You would have liked to have seen more.
I wanted, yeah, because it was happened so fast and ended so fast. I'm like. Maybe tease it to where like the doctor guy's the main villain. He's the one trying to kill Laurie at the end, and then maybe Michael shows up and kills him, and then they escape or something.
Or let him live for Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends.
I'd have been into that.
Be an overarching villain. But after Halloween 2018, I trust Blumhouse. John Carpenter's on board for all of it. Again, this is another example of like a creator coming back and working on it, but as opposed to Ridley Scott coming back for Prometheus and Alien Covenant. When John Carpenter came back to Halloween, it was for the better. So I am excited to see those. Again, that wasn't really a Comic-Con thing, but it happened, so
Yeah.
I feel like I should throw it in there. So really the next... I mean, there was a lot of like CW superhero stuff that was announced. They're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths with all of their like shows. With
Isn't Brandon
Flash.
Routh coming back as Superman or something?
Yeah, that's part of the Crisis on Infinite Earths. He's going to play Kingdom Come Superman from the Kingdom Come arc, which that's kind of cool, but I'm a little curious to see how they're going to deal with that because he plays a character on Legends of Tomorrow. He plays the Atom. So it's like, is he going to have scenes with himself, but as two completely different people?
I don't know. I don't really know anything about the CW DC shows. I've heard that they're good.
I just started watching Supergirl. I'm about halfway through season 2. And I'm
But
really enjoying it.
It's like, I struggle with shows that have more than 13 episodes in a season and have 40-minute runtimes.
Yeah.
It's just so much time commitment to watch. I struggle
will
with
say
it.
that, like, again, I'm watching Supergirl, and it doesn't feel like hour-long episodes. That being said, I think you would hate Supergirl.
Yeah?
It's very much a CW show. Like, and everything that comes with it, like the stupid, like, relationship drama bullshit.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Buffy and Angel are kind of in the same vein as those, and I love those shows.
Yeah, but I feel like those ones benefit from the fact that we were both introduced to Buffy and Angel when we were younger.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, there are times where I'll watch Supergirl where something will happen and I'll just kind of cringe a little bit. And I'm just like, this is stupid and I don't really care about what's happening. Which I guess comes from, like, I mean, it very much is.
We're not
like
really the target audience.
Yeah, not really. But Supergirl's my second favorite superhero, at least in the DC side of things. I think she is significantly better than Superman. Fight me. I just think from a character standpoint, like, let's have perfect person with like basically no conflict unless he turns evil, in which case that's awesome. Or let's have this woman who she remembers Krypton because she was a teenager when it blew up. So she's got like all the issues of literally seeing everybody she's ever known die. And so she's like a damaged character as opposed to Superman, who's just like perfect. So like, to me, that's just a better character.
Well, to me, Superman I agree with you. I don't find Superman interesting in many ways.
Until he's a villain. Then I love him.
Here's the thing, is that in the Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, there were seeds of interesting stuff because the idea of people being afraid of him, which they should be.
Yeah.
And him not feeling like he belongs on Earth. Like, that is an interesting story.
Yeah.
That they didn't do well.
Which that's something that I really enjoyed. They did it super well in the first season of Supergirl, where people are constantly just like sort of inherently untrustworthy. Like, they don't really trust her all that much because they're like, yeah, but you're an alien. And like the whole like purpose of that show is that when she crashed to Earth, that also this like Kryptonian prison ship also crashed to Earth. And so like all these different alien criminals have escaped. And so they're like, you're an alien and you're doing good. That's cool. But at the same time, there are these other aliens who aren't doing cool shit. So when are you going to turn? And especially when in season 1, there are other Kryptonians flying around doing bad shit. And it's like, well,
yeah, that seems like a good story. But if you did the basic plot of Spider-Man 2001, Tobey Maguire, or maybe it's 2002, either way, with Superman, that could be a pretty good story because you have him as a hero, everyone loves him, and then public sentiment starts to go the other way. They kind of did that in Batman v Superman, but they just didn't do it well enough.
Yeah, I feel like that's when you're doing Superman, that's you got to steer into the he's an alien side of it, because you got to give him conflict as a character, because Superman can't be really beaten by external conflict, so you need to give him internal conflict. And they tried that with Man of Steel, and they tried that with Batman v Superman, and then they kind of just abandoned it.
Well, you know my whole like pitch for rewriting those, especially Batman v Superman. You don't need to go into it now. I think I've talked about it ad nauseum.
I don't think we've ever actually done an episode about it.
Well, we'll have to do it at some point.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at my notes because I have a whole thing.
But I just think they should just relaunch the DCEU. Just Blank slate.
Oh, other thing. Speaking of DCEU, Henry Cavill, Witcher trailer.
Witcher. Yeah.
I am hyped as fuck for that.
You're a big Witcher fan, at least when it comes to the games. Have you read any of the books?
I started reading one of them, and then for whatever reason, it kind of fell off. I do want to try and read the books before the show comes out.
Yeah, because I heard that it's the books.
Yeah, they made a specific effort to say this is based on the novels, not really on the books, on the games. I mean,
yeah, because for those of you who don't know, like the games don't follow the books.
Well,
the books are like they reference stuff, but the events of the games aren't the events of the books.
Well, because the events of the games are post novels.
Yeah.
So in the games, if you're at all familiar, at the very beginning of the first game, Geralt wakes up with amnesia, doesn't remember anything, and is basically trying to get his memory back. And then you see a lot, like tons of characters and everything, like it references the events that happened in the books.
Yeah.
So this is going to be way like pre-video game.
Hence why
Geralt.
it's like Henry Cavill is obviously younger than Geralt.
Yes.
Like that was my one thing was when I was like, they cast freaking Henry Cavill as Geralt. I was like, really? And then they were like, oh, but this is the books. I'm like, okay.
So he's much, much younger.
He also doesn't have a beard.
He's not as grizzled.
He's kind of like rookie Witcher. Like he's doing all his monster slaying, but he's like younger.
I'm super hyped for that.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. As I said, I'm not super hyped because I'm a Witcher fan.
My concern is pacing. Again, I'm way more familiar with the games than the novels, but those favorite
are slow burn games.
They are slow burn games, and one of the more interesting aspects of the game is the actual monster hunting aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a big overarching plot with kings and weird supernatural stuff and whatnot. But to me, those were the less interesting parts. The more interesting parts were the like micro stories of like hunting this monster down. Especially in the games, you had to like kind of research the monster and for various targets like ghosts or other things. You'd have to like figure out who the ghost was originally, and you'd end up finding this whole like evil plot that happened in the past. And that shit was interesting. Yeah. I don't know how much they're going to lean into that. There was that ending shot, which was dope as hell, where like the giant spider's coming out of the swamp and it shows his face and he's all like fucked up looking. Because it's the thing in the lore of The Witcher where Witchers have these like potions they can drink that enhance their abilities. But if they drink too much, it's like toxic. And so they have to like wait for the effects to wear off. But yeah, that was like a really cool nod. You just like look at him and you can tell what he did. And I'm just hyped for it.
Yeah. So you played a shit ton of Witcher 3. Have you ever faced off against the Cow Avenger?
The Cow Avenger.
Yeah. So when the game first came out, people found an exploit in the game where you could just like you could kill cows and then sell their hides for like money, but you could like there was a way to trick it so that you could just have cows infinitely respawning and just like keep killing them over and over. So instead of like patching it out, what they did was after you kill a certain number of cows, this gigantic like cow-esque monster that's like super high level, like meant to basically like one-shot players just shows up and just like fucking murders you.
I need to look that up. No, I never really killed cows because cowhides are worth pretty much nothing.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that when it's like infinitely respawning, you just sit there like push a button. Like eventually you're gonna get enough that selling cowhides is gonna be profitable. But yeah, then they threw in the Cow Avenger.
That is awesome. That is why I really like CD Projekt Red as a developer.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for Cyberpunk. I'll definitely check it out. Not just because it has Keanu in it, but because it has Keanu in it. So
speaking of Keanu, really quick, I finally watched that Netflix movie, Always Be My Maybe.
I need to still see it. I heard it's pretty adorable.
Solid rom-com.
Yeah. I heard that it's pretty good.
That's all I'll say is that Keanu's amazing and it is just a downright good romantic comedy.
Yeah, I definitely need to check it out. It's on my list of shit to watch. As I said, right now I'm watching through Supergirl, so probably once I finish up through season 4, I think is what they have so far. I will definitely go to jump over there. I don't have time to watch Arrow, Flash, Legends tomorrow. There's too much. So I'm like, I'm gonna watch one series, and if something happens that I need to know about from the other series, I'll just read about it on Wikipedia.
That's what Wikipedia is for.
Yeah. But anyways, so after that, probably the next, I would say, noteworthy thing would probably be Picard.
I probably will pony up for CBS All Access for that show.
Just to watch that. Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah.
Dude. It hit me, like, right in the nostalgia, but at the same time, like, not. Because it's like, you know, you got freaking Deanna Troy shows up in the trailer, 7 of 9 shows up in the trailer, Data shows up in the trailer. Like, so, like, obviously I'm like, as a Star Trek fan who grew up with Next Generation, grew up with Voyager, grew up with all these series, I'm on board. But then, like, there's enough new stuff that I'm like, I'm all for it. Plus Patrick Stewart, another actor that to me can do no wrong.
Oh yeah.
Especially after Logan.
Yeah, I'm hoping for. I didn't really watch Discovery at all. I had heard from many people that it was good, but definitely leaned in more into the J.J. Abrams style of Star Trek.
Which I feel like Picard probably will as well, because it seems to be a formula that's working for them.
But I don't know. I want that. I want that Next Generation, like, we're all about diplomacy and we want to raise everyone up.
I heard that Discovery went more in that direction with season 2. Because I believe we got a trailer also for season 3 or 4 at Comic-Con. I didn't watch that trailer because I don't watch Discovery. I need to. It's another thing.
I'm ponying up for CBS All Access.
I actually did pay for CBS All Access and then didn't watch Discovery and then forgot that I was paying for CBS All Access. So I had CBS All Access for like a year. Until finally, like, I checked one of my bank statements and was like,
oh shit,
I still have CBS All Access. I should probably do something about that.
That's okay. I paid for Epidemic Sound for a long time after I stopped making YouTube videos.
I'm still paying for it.
I'll pony up after.
But I make videos.
I'll pony up when I start making videos again.
I need to make more videos to justify paying for Epidemic, but
yeah, I am hoping for my, essential Star Trek experience, because I grew up watching Next Gen. That was really the only one that I watched a lot of.
Yeah.
I watched some of Voyager. I watched some DS9.
So Star Trek to you is more of the idealistic.
Yeah,
that's Next Generation is the most, like, utopian.
That's the appeal to me.
Yeah.
That's the appeal of Star Trek. Like, the very first two-parter, because it opens with a two-parter with Q, if I remember correctly.
Encounter at Farpoint.
Yes. And that just sets up the entire premise of Next Generation so well, of Q, like, showing Picard all these atrocities that humans have committed over time, and Picard being like, no, we're above that now. Yeah, it just gives me hope.
It tells you a lot about the series when the first couple of episodes are not, like, action-packed, like, real, like, suspenseful stuff. It's like deep philosophical, like, ethical discussions.
Yeah, I want that. I want that shit in my Star Trek.
Yeah.
I don't care about no Klingon wars.
I was talking to a buddy of ours, Josh Larson, about sci-fi a little while back, because we met up for lunch. And we were talking about sci-fi, and I said, like, there's really 2 ways that you got to go with Star Trek, or with sci-fi, rather. You either need to explain the crap out of the science and make it believable, or it's just magic and just don't explain it. And I was like, this is where I feel Star Trek and Star Wars, like, split. Because Star Trek is all like, we're going to explain the tech. It's going to make sense. Like, this is going to seem scientifically plausible. Then Star Wars, it's like,
we're space wizards.
Shut up, we're space wizards. Just move on. We're going to shoot somebody. Just go. We got laser swords. And I think that's why, as an adult, I'm a little bit more of a Star Wars fan. Whereas as a kid, as somebody who was more interested in science when I was younger, I was a little bit more on board with Star Trek. That being said, I'm hyped for Picard, and I still need to check out Discovery. So, was there anything that you saw, Owen, before we dive into the behemoth that is Marvel?
Other than the Witcher trailer, no. That was the thing.
You weren't paying.
That was the thing that got me the most hyped, because that came out while I was at work.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll just dive into it. So last night in Hall H, Marvel announced, basically they just announced Phase 4, which, by the way, a bigger deal than a lot of people are making out. They actually officially called it Phase 4. A lot of people were like, what are they going to call it? Because the Infinity Saga is over. Is this going to be Phase 1 of whatever comes next? No, they called it Phase 4. They specifically were like, this is Phase 4. So, small little point. It only really matters to people like me who need to, like, refer to it as something.
Yeah.
On, like, a regular basis. But so yeah, they announced, I believe it was 10 things. I'm going to pull this up here. They announced 10 parts to Phase 4. A bunch of Disney Plus series and 5 movies. You have 5 shows, 5 movies. So starting up, we're going to go through this chronologically. Black Widow. This is the only one that we knew for sure was happening because they are literally filming it right now. You didn't pay attention to the panel, so I'll just basically jump into this. So this film, basically what we got announced from this, we got some casting stuff. The girl from Midsommar, whose name is escaping me, apparently she's like a sex symbol in some country. I learned that when I was looking her up last night to do a video. She's in it as the second Black Widow, potentially setting up a replacement Black Widow.
Should call her the Brown Recluse.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Potentially setting up another Black Widow. Could be a thing. David Harbour from Stranger Things is in it. He's going to be playing the Russian equivalent of Captain America, because of course there's a Russian equivalent to Captain America. And we got word that Rachel Weisz is playing somebody. We don't know who.
I would probably guess a mentor type character.
Honestly, I don't care what role she's playing. I just like looking at Rachel Weisz. So, like, that's fine.
Is it Rachel or Raquel?
I'm pretty sure it's Rachel.
Yeah.
I've been mispronouncing her name for literally my entire life.
Yeah.
But
whatever.
For those of you who don't know, it's the main chick in The Mummy.
Yeah.
So, and also we got the confirmation that Taskmaster is going to be the villain. So my
check out John's theory video on Screen Rant.
There are already parts of it that are that have not aged well. Because in that video I said, like, if it is Taskmaster. Yeah, it's Taskmaster. We now know for sure. So yeah, Black Widow, that's no big surprise. Everyone knew that was coming. Obviously, it's going to take place before Endgame because, she dead.
Yeah.
The next thing chronologically is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, fall 2020. Again, this is something we already knew, but it got a new logo. And also, Daniel Bruhl is in it. He's returning as Zemo.
Okay.
And he actually has the purple mask that he had in the comics. A lot of people were like, is it really Baron Zemo if he's not wearing all purple and looking like a little fruity Nazi boy?
So he's not actually dead?
So, well, I mean, he was never dead because Black Panther captured him at the end of Civil War.
That's right.
And so he's back and he's going to be causing a lot of trouble for our new Cap, because the logo, in case you haven't seen it, very obviously has Captain America's shield in it. My theory is that this series is going to be Falcon grappling with the idea of being Captain America, and by the end of it,
he'll fully embrace it
and he'll become Captain America for films going forward. But we don't know if he's going to be in any films going forward because that wasn't announced. What was announced next, November 6th, 2020. We knew that this was in production, but we didn't know how far along it is. This is Eternals.
I don't even know what that is.
So the Eternals in the comics were a group of superpowered beings who were created as the result of genetic experiments done by the Celestials on proto-humans, so like Neanderthals and stuff. So they're kind of like an evolutionary split from humans. They're ancient, they're superpowered, they're basically fucking gods. We got some casting information. Salma Hayek is playing their leader. Angelina Jolie is in it as a character. I don't know much about the Eternals, so I can't name their characters. Camille Nanjiani is in it, which is awesome. I like that dude. Then a bunch of other people. Rob Stark.
Richard Madden.
Richard Madden, that's his name, is in it. So there's a segment of people who are probably excited about that. Again, I don't know anything about the Eternals. I guarantee you I'm going to do a bunch of Screen Rant videos about it, which means
you're going to learn.
In probably not that long, I would say 6 months, I'm about to be an Eternals expert.
You're going to learn today.
So let's not forget that 2 or 3 weeks before Captain Marvel came out, they asked me to do a video about Captain Marvel, and I wound up, no joke, reading 25 years of Carol Danvers comics. I'll probably do that with the Eternals as well. I'll also probably wind up doing that with the next film on the docket, which is Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. which is coming out February 12th, 2021. Shang-Chi is going to be the first Asian-led superhero film. Simu Liu was cast in the role. Apparently, he's a well-known actor. I've literally never heard of him before. He's a Canadian actor, so that's the thing. Person who I have heard about, though, is Tony Leung, who's going to be in it. He's playing the Mandarin, as in the Mandarin.
Not the fake one.
None of this Ben Kingsley fake bullshit. This is the actual guy.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, but hence the title, Legend of the Ten Rings. The Ten Rings is the terrorist organization that the Mandarin is the head of, and it's also the terrorist organization that, whenever Marvel needed a terrorist organization in the films, they're just like, it's the Ten Rings. So that's the thing. Also, Aquafina's in it.
Sextina Aquafina?
Which is just a fun name to say, Aquafina. It's also a fun name to try to spell.
So for those of you who don't watch BoJack Horseman, there is a dolphin pop star named Sextina Aquafina, and that show is fucking fabulous. If you haven't watched it,
it is a great show. I highly recommend it. Also, you're probably going to need therapy after it. It's a very depressing show.
Oh yeah,
when you really break it down, but it's hilarious. So after that, we get WandaVision, which I still stand by as a stupid fucking name.
Terrible name.
But the logo is dope. It kind of looks like a 1950s car logo. It's pretty sweet. But that's coming out spring 2021. So
is that a series or a movie?
It's a series. It's on Disney Plus, and it's been confirmed that it takes place after Endgame. So you may now start speculating how Vision is coming back.
Just rebuild him.
We can tell you that by the end of that film, Wanda Maximoff will still be alive, because she is going to pop up in the next film on the docket, which is May 7th, 2021, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
That is a dope title.
That's like a Harry Potter title.
Yeah, it's dope as hell.
But yeah, she is going to be popping up in that, and apparently this is going to be like an MCU horror film. Is kind of like how they're portraying it. It's going to be like dark and scary. There's going to be like weird monsters and stuff. So, which I'm on board. I actually thought that Doctor Strange was a bit of an underrated MCU film.
It was fine.
And that's the thing, is that most people are like, it's fine. And then they don't watch it ever again. But I'm like, I actually really enjoyed it. I think that of all of the MCU films, no other film has been able to capture the look of the comic quite like
visually
Doctor
it's
Strange.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because that whole comic just screams Steve Ditko, all over the place. It's amazing. After that, we get an animated series. At least I'm pretty sure it's animated, and that is Loki. Spring 2021.
AKA animated, because we don't want to pay Tom Hiddleston.
He's still voicing the character, but
sure, it costs less.
Yeah, it costs significantly less to have him come in and do voices for a week as opposed to filming for 2 months. But this is going to take place following the adventures or misadventures, however you want to look at it, of the alternate timeline 2012 Loki after he escaped with the Tesseract in Endgame. Which a lot of us were like, that makes sense. That's probably where the Loki series is going to...
that's what I thought watching Endgame.
Yeah. As soon as he disappeared and then we didn't see him the rest of the movie, you're kind of just like, that's where the Loki series starts. It's right there. So, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are excited about this show. I like Loki. Not as much as the internet.
I'm excited to see what kind of... animation style they go with for these animated series.
Yeah, because there's a couple of them.
Because if there's one thing that DC does better than Marvel, it's the animation.
If the DCEU literally was just the DC animated universe, they win.
I don't know why. I feel like there's a weird fear of doing a feature length superhero animated film.
Mask of the Phantasm.
Mask of the Phantasm is dope. I don't know why, more... I feel like DC should try and get some of their bigger, Batman animated films in theaters. People would probably go to them.
Oh, yeah.
I would go to them.
And, I feel like the box office on just the limited run of The Killing Joke shows you that if you gave that, a proper marketing budget and, put it in for the full run in as many screens as you put Justice League, then probably would have done really well.
And I'm sure they cost much less to make.
Oh yeah, probably quite a bit. Plus, it keeps Kevin Conroy working. So I'm all about that. Next up, summer 2021. This one I'm excited about because this one, I knew it was coming, but it's still out of left field. That is the Disney Plus series What If, which is an anthology series that's going to, basically Kevin Feige described it as a show that focuses on situations where some either small or large thing was changed about the MCU. So an example that's given is the first episode that we know about is what if Peggy Carter was chosen to be Captain America as opposed to Steve Rogers, which they did that in the comics. In the comics, there's an alternate universe where Steve Rogers died on his way to the super serum injection ceremony party thing. And so they were like, oh shit, we got to put it in somebody. And Peggy Carter was like, fine, fuck it, I'll do it.
But she's British.
Well, let's just fucking move on. So they
should have put it in Tommy Lee Jones.
I want to see how super buff Tommy Lee Jones wearing the fucking stars and stripes, throwing a shield, and in the most monotone voice, just being like, "Avengers, assemble." You know that being an Avenger would just be like an inconvenience for him.
Oh yeah.
But I would watch the hell out of that. They announced a ton of people, a ton of actors who are returning. Basically everybody except for Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. Basically everybody. Mark Ruffalo, Jeremy Renner, Samuel L. Jackson's going to voice characters.
The premise of this is kind of funny to me because this is exactly something I'm kind of shocked it doesn't exist yet. This is exactly something that WWE would do for a WWE Network series.
Oh fuck! Why have they not done that?
They did something recently, kind of a what if thing, because because the Undertaker and Sting never had an official match in WWE, and so they had a little thing.
Like what if Undertaker and Sting fought?
Yeah,
but imagine if they did for an entire arc in wrestling, they were like, what if John Cena's a dick?
What if John Cena was a heel the whole time?
Oh shit.
That is absolutely something they would do.
I don't watch wrestling, and even I'm like, oh fuck, that'd be huge.
If any WWE executives are listening to this podcast, they're probably going to steal that idea
what if
right
Roman
now.
Reigns wasn't so insufferable?
Or what if they probably have...
What if people did know what The Rock was cooking?
No, they would do probably really important matches and be like, oh, what if Shawn Michaels didn't win the Royal Rumble at this time or whatever, something like that.
That'd be legit.
Yeah, that's something they would absolutely do, which is why this kind of cracks me up.
Or what if Macho Man Randy Savage didn't snap into a Slim Jim?
Who knows?
What would have happened to his career? What if Roddy Piper didn't have as much attitude? I don't know, man. These are the questions that keep me up at night. Okay, so after that, we've got another animated Disney Plus series. This one has got a lot of people at Screen Rant excited.
Really?
Because there's a lot of Hawkeye fans at Screen Rant. Specifically, Rob Keyes, shout out. Big Hawkeye fan. Every time that the Avengers are talked about and Hawkeye isn't brought up, he takes it as a personal affront. So Hawkeye getting his own show on Disney Plus, he's pretty hyped. What I'm mainly hyped about is this show is going to introduce us to Kate Bishop. For those of you who don't know, within the Young Avengers, Kate Bishop is that team's Hawkeye. She actually, when Clint Barton became Ronin in the comics, she took the title Hawkeye, and she became the main continuity Hawkeye. So we don't know much about that. We got a cool, it has a 1960s spy thriller aesthetic to it. And we got a video that showed that. So that's cool. I'll check it out. I'm going to be spending so much fucking time watching Disney Plus shit. And they're spreading out these series to such a degree I can't just get it for a month and watch it all. It's spread out over 2 years.
Are they going to do some kind of Hulu Plus, Disney Plus package?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because Hulu is owned by Disney.
I think it's like 50% owned by Disney.
I'd sign up for that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already going to sign up for Disney Plus. You guys already have my money. Like, just fucking don't screw it up.
Reach your hands into my wallet.
Yeah. And finally, the final thing that was like that we were given a date for, there were a couple other announcements which we'll touch upon. But the final thing that we got a date for is Thor 4, which we got a title. Coming out on November 5th, 2021, we are getting Thor Love and Thunder.
That is definitely in competition with Multiverse of Madness.
For like a great title.
Best fucking title.
I love the logo because it's so like 1980s like hair metal.
Yeah.
The only thing that logo needs is an umlaut.
Yeah, I love Taika Waititi and I loved Thor Ragnarok and I want this movie. Yeah. Of all these on this thing, that's the one that I am hyped for.
I feel like I'm more interested in the Disney Plus series than I am the movies themselves.
I have more curiosity about the Disney Plus series.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how they're going to do it. Are they going to kind of do what the Marvel Netflix series did? Or are they going to go like... Are they going to go more one-offs? Like, are they going to have like the episodes be more serialized, more like a Buffy Angel sort of thing?
I kind of got the vibe that it's going to be like one giant long movie that's just spread over a season. But I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so Thor Love and Thunder, Taika Waititi's coming back. He's directing because, of course, like after fucking you caught lightning in a bottle with Ragnarok, why would you not try to redo that? So that's awesome. Natalie Portman is coming back. So Jane Foster's going to be back. And
we'll see if she actually gives a fuck this time.
I fucking hope she does because when she came out on stage, Taika Waititi handed her the hammer. So like, and was like, yeah, Lady Thor. So that whole comic arc, Mighty Thor, is going to be happening. I don't know if they're going to follow it completely because I don't know if you want to give Natalie Portman cancer. Well, okay, her character cancer. Like,
we're not giving Natalie Portman cancer.
Let's not actually give Natalie Portman cancer. She's a national treasure. But you know, and I doubt that by the end of the film they're gonna kill Natalie Portman, which is what happened in the comics. Although maybe they could, because then she comes back as one of the new Valkyries. So you could do that, I guess.
I mean, I would rather see Tessa Thompson in that role.
As Lady Thor? Or
yeah.
Well, I mean, but if you're following comics and
I don't give a fuck about the comics.
Jane Foster Thor was like a really like much beloved by comic fans and was a really well selling comic. So of course they're going to kind of follow that.
I just really would like Tessa Thompson in the movie because I like her a lot.
She is.
Good.
She is. And also confirmed LGBT.
Okay.
Because when they were like talking to her, she was like, yeah, you know, I'm now the king of Asgard, and what's the first thing that a king should do? Find her queen. And so she's going to be doing that. Maybe by the end of the film, Jane Foster's like, nah, Thor, I don't want to get back together. I'm with Tessa Thompson now.
Well, I mean, in real life, Tessa Thompson's dating Janelle Monáe, so makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Really, I'm just excited to see more Tessa Thompson, Chris Hemsworth, because like they've got such great chemistry that I'm all
that
about.
They couldn't take advantage of in Men in Black International.
Move on past that. Also, with Taika Waititi coming back, please tell us that means we're getting more Korg.
I want more Korg.
Like, and I want him to like actually do something. I was
hang
happy
out and play Fortnite.
I was happy seeing him in Endgame, but I want him to be an actual character again. Because Korg is my favorite character in the MCU. Hands down. I love Korg. I will like specifically go through and like when I'm feeling bad, I will load up Thor Ragnarok on my computer and I'll skip to Korg
scenes. Watch the Korg scenes.
I will just watch the Korg scenes. That is no joke. Something that I've done. I love that, man.
Well, I suppose the last thing I should probably talk about, the other big announcement is Blade.
Blade. Before we get to that, one quick thing. There are a few movies on here that we know are coming that didn't get dates. Black Panther 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Captain Marvel 2. Kevin Feige was like, they're coming. Don't worry, it's down there. He also announced that there are Fantastic Four and X-Men projects in the works, but he's just kind of like, they're a ways out there, guys. So maybe like 2023, 2024, maybe Phase 5, we'll be seeing them pop up. Who knows? Also worth noting, what seems to be missing from this timeline?
I don't know.
What usually caps off the end of a phase?
Oh, a team-up movie.
Yeah. There's no team-up movie on this list.
Whatever.
So what are we doing?
I don't know.
What are we doing?
We're doing things.
I know that Kevin Feige one time said that they might, like, sleep on the Avengers for a while.
Maybe make a new team. There's always be Avengers.
Ultimates could be a cool one to go with. But anyways. So yeah, and then at the end of the panel, they randomly brought out Mahershala Ali, which
I think that's how you pronounce his name.
I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name. For like hardcore Marvel fans, they'll look at him and be like, that's Cottonmouth from Luke Cage. But in another like fuck you Marvel TV move, they had him put on a hat, and the hat said Blade on it. Mahershala Ali is confirmed to be playing Blade. We don't know if it's a movie. We don't know if it's a TV show. I mean, somebody might know. I wasn't at the panel, and nobody has told me if they said it was a TV show or a movie. But I'm leaning towards Disney Plus series.
I know. I feel like that should be a movie.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I want to see it as a movie. Because I've got a soft spot for Blade.
I love Blade. Blade's awesome.
I do have a soft spot for that 1998 kickboxing
Vampire movie. Blade 1 and 2 are fucking dope as hell.
Blade Trinity, not so much.
No, don't tell me about Blade Trinity. Just take that away.
Even Ryan Reynolds doesn't want to talk about that movie. That movie, so there's a scene in that movie where Wesley Snipes was just being a, like, dick on set, and Blade was supposed to wake up in a scene, but he refused to open his eyes, so they had to CGI his eyes. And it looks bad. Somebody pointed that out on Twitter today, and I had a great laugh with it. But so yeah, Blade, to me it just seems like it would work as a Disney Plus series, because again, it's like, it's a more adult.
Does Disney really want to go that far?
Yeah, like, because they've already said, like, we're never going to make an R-rated MCU film.
Well, then you can't make Blade PG-13.
You can't.
Just don't
do
it.
Like, make it a series. Or
well,
maybe
will they put that? I mean, I know that Disney Plus is definitely really, like, marketed as, like, for families. Will they put a fucking Blade series that has him fucking chopping heads off with a sword on that platform?
I don't know, man. That might be something.
I mean, there's enough evidence to show that R-rated superhero movies work.
Maybe they go the Buffy route, and when he chops off heads and stuff, there's no blood, and they just, like, ash.
That's boring.
He just dusts them. He, like, Thanos snaps them whenever he slices them with a sword. But no, I want to see fucking blood and, like, horrific vampire action. I want a good vampire movie.
I mean, yeah,
where they're not, like, sexy vampires.
You can't divorce, like, the violence from Blade.
No.
His name is fucking Blade.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
He's the Daywalker.
The Daywalker.
But I'm pretty excited about that.
I wonder who they're going to cast as Whistler.
A lot of people are saying they should have Wesley Snipes as Whistler.
Well, I mean, if Wesley Snipes is that big of a fucking dick, then no.
That's true. Although, what the fuck's he doing now besides just dodging taxes and being in one Expendables movie?
Nothing.
So, like, fucking...
Nah, you can get someone good.
Somebody give him a job.
Not Wesley Snipes. I don't want Wesley Snipes.
Let's just have Sutherland back. Like, fuck it.
No, I don't like... I tend to dislike when properties, like, do, like, a little wink-wink at their old iteration.
Are you talking shit about J. Jonah Jameson?
I mean...
Here's the thing. I will give that one a pass because J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson
was iconic.
And in my opinion, it is up there with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man as, like, perfect comic casting.
Well, and also that's playing the same role.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, Wesley Snipes was Blade and now he's playing Whistler. Also, Whistler's a big part. I don't want Wesley Snipes to have a big part in the new Blade.
That's true. That would be like remaking A New Hope and casting Mark Hamill as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Exactly. Like, don't do that. I mean, maybe he can have a cameo as a vampire that he kills. I'd be down for that.
I'd be down.
But don't make him Whistler. either way, pumped for the idea of Blade.
The logo looks kind of cool.
I really hope that Disney just goes for it.
Yeah, just do it right, guys.
There's plenty of evidence to show that R-rated superhero movies can do just fine. We have Deadpool, we have Logan, we had the original Blades.
Blade 1. Blade 2 didn't do great.
The original Blade.
Blade 3 was hot garbage.
I mean, in terms of box office.
Also, I'm pretty sure Blade 3 was PG-13.
Was it?
I think it might have been. I don't fully remember.
Well, I know that they did pretty well in box office.
Yeah. For the time. Nowadays, that sort of box office draw would, like, you wouldn't get a sequel. You wouldn't even be considered for anything.
Also, I think that casting is really good.
Mahershala Ali.
He's fabulous.
Yeah. Kevin Feige in interviews said to him that's the dream casting. Like, he's like, I could not think of anybody better to play Blade. Which obviously, like, you're going to, like, you're the producer, that's your star, you're going to say that kind of thing. But the way that he was saying it, I believe him. That this was.
I mean, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who. Remember when I read that, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, I can't think of. The only other person that I'm like, maybe he could do an okay Blade, there I can't do. Because he was Killmonger. And that's Michael B. Jordan. He could have potentially done a pretty good job. Not as good as Mahershala Ali.
I think Daniel Kaluuya, the guy from Get Out, and he was also in Black Panther.
Yeah.
He could have. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, about I feel like Mahershala Ali versus Michael B. Jordan and Daniel Kaluuya, or however you say his last name. I feel like Michael B. Jordan and Daniel Kaluuya are going to, like, they would definitely bring more. I don't know how to, like, word this. I guess innocence to the character. Like, I wouldn't be able to necessarily buy them as, like, this is a hard, no nonsense, like, fuck you vampire hunter. Whereas Mahershala Ali, he looks intense. Like, he looks like somebody you don't want to fuck with.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need for Blade. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think
maybe if they were playing a younger Blade.
That's a really good casting there.
Yeah. Really, really damn good. And as of the recording of this episode, that is the last of the, like, major Comic-Con news. DC didn't have a presence at all in Hall H. A lot of people didn't have presences at all in Hall H, which is why a lot of people are asking the question, is Comic-Con dying? It's kind of like they ask every year if E3 is dying.
I mean, I feel like we're in an era where everyone wants their own little thing, like the Disney 20, is that what it's called?
D23.
D23. Yeah. So they have that, like everyone has their own little thing that they have to have.
Did so they have don't, a D23 this year?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to that shit.
I'm pretty sure it's in, like, May or something.
But
maybe I'm just crazy.
You know, people don't want to compete for eyeballs.
Yeah. That's why, like, for instance, we're talking about E3 just a second ago. Sony had their own conference. Like, off and away. They were just like, fuck off, we're doing our own thing. I think EA did too.
Which I think is like...
And I mean, Blizzard did that years ago.
BlizzCon, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it kind of makes sense to a certain degree, but also, I feel like if you're really, really confident in your shit, that...
Doesn't matter where you show it.
Doesn't matter where you show it, and also there's an advantage to, like, I'm showing my shit at Comic-Con, and then you're what everyone's talking about if your shit's the coolest. Same thing with E3.
Which I feel like Marvel definitely did that here. Although a lot of people are like, Disney, you pulled some shady shit, because for a while there, Marvel was saying we aren't going to be at Hall H at Comic-Con this year. And then, like, a bunch of other people backed out, and then Marvel's like, guess what? We booked a big-ass slot. We're going to be at Comic-Con. Come check us out Saturday night. 2 hours. It's going to be awesome.
Whatever.
It's fucking savage. But, yeah. So, anyways, that was all the big Comic-Con stuff that we wanted to talk about.
What are you most excited for?
What are you most excited about? And was there anything from Comic-Con that we didn't talk about that you are?
No, I was asking you.
Oh, what am I hyped about?
Wait, what's the thing that we of all the shit we talked about? What's the thing that has you most hyped?
It's a toss-up. I mean, obviously, basically anything in Marvel. I'm excited about that because I'm employed through November 5th, 2021. Like, that's one thing, is that it's going to be rough as working for Screen Rant until May 1st, 2020. Because we're going to have this like big gap.
Yeah.
Because for those of you who don't know, we can't talk about DC movies on Screen Rant.
Really?
Because Warner Brothers cracks down hard on copyright.
That's right, they do.
So like we just don't do DC videos anymore because like we can't use any footage because as soon as we do, that video is claimed. So like I can't talk about DC, although off the top of my head, I think we got like Joker later on in the year.
Yeah, Joker in October.
Yeah, that's really the only.
And James Gunn's working on Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah, but I mean, like in terms of like between now and when Black Widow comes out, I can't think of anything like major on the DC side to talk about. But yeah, it's gonna be rough. So obviously I'm excited for the MCU because then that's job security, as much job security as you can get on YouTube. The other day, the person who I've been kind of seeing asked me, like, we were talking about like morning routines, and I mentioned like she talked about her morning routine and was like, you know, get up, take a shower, brush your teeth, blah blah blah. And I jokingly was like, oh, you know, I get up in the morning, I lay there for a few hours basking in the existential dread that comes with the knowledge that YouTube is not a stable career, and then I get up and brush my teeth. And like it was a joke that hit me close to home because it's very, very true. But anyways, so yeah, obviously I'm excited about Marvel, but outside of that, probably, I don't know, Picard definitely got me pretty hyped. And then of course, obviously, as we said, it's not really a Comic-Con thing, but the 2 Halloween sequels, I was excited about that.
Personally, I am by far most psyched for Witcher. I think Netflix has a big opportunity here. There's
this
actually
could be their Game of Thrones.
There's a lot of talk, especially with like all these different new streaming services announced, and you know, properties taking back some popular shows like The Office and Friends and shit.
Yeah, like that's bad for Netflix.
And that's the reason Netflix has been investing in original content for so long. And aside from Stranger Things, I can't think of any other show that like everyone watches. Like they have some really good shows like Orange is the New Black that people get excited for. I remember people were excited for the Marvel Netflix series that disappeared. But I don't think they have like a bona fide runaway hit. And now there's kind of like a vacuum that people want, like some kind of high fantasy story. And The Witcher could fill that perfectly if they do it right.
Well, and depending on how quick Amazon can get their shit together.
The Lord of the Rings.
The only real competition, that The Witcher has is Amazon's Lord of the Rings series, which we haven't really seen anything from it. So I'm doubting that it's going to come out within a time frame where it really is going to be competing.
So I'm hyped. I'm hopeful because I want Netflix to exist. I think Netflix as like a property is very cool and was very innovative. And they bring cool shit to the world.
They do. Like, even if Netflix as a service doesn't necessarily need to exist, the original stuff that they create, obviously there's some stinkers in there, but they also have managed to create some pretty good stuff.
So I feel like if The Witcher is a big hit, they nail it, people really enjoy it, it could be their big bona fide runaway hit and really like solidify Netflix in this new streaming space.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll just have to see how that goes. We'll have to see how all of this goes. As I was saying, our question of the week, what are you hyped for? And what did we not discuss that you are excited about that you think that we should have talked about? Be sure to let us know, because again, I've got all these information streams coming in on Comic-Con, but they're only really information streams about film. I didn't really get much about television or anything like that. Definitely didn't get anything about comics, which is really a bummer, even though
it is Comic-Con.
Yeah, but okay, here's the thing. Comic-Con's really not about comics anymore.
No.
That's why I actually said to some people who I knew who were going to Comic-Con, I said, hey, do me a favor. While you're at Comic-Con, go find go find me a person who makes comics. Go find that person and just talk to them for like 5 minutes. You probably just made that guy's entire weekend because he might be the only person who talked to them. So let that be a lesson to you. The next time that you go to Comic-Con, please go out and try to find an actual comic booth. Also, when you're at Comic-Con, if you can stop by the Matt's Cavalcade of Comics booth, because they have a booth at Comic-Con every single year, go there, tell them that John Alget's sent you, and he'll probably tack on 10% onto the cost of everything, but it'll be good for a laugh. Or he'll straight up kick you out of his booth. Miss you, Matt. Anyways, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below if you're on YouTube, or if you are listening to us on any of the audio-only platforms, you can tweet your answer at us. We are at Starwipe Lounge. Use the hashtag Starwipe Lounge so your answer is a little bit easier to find. Or you can get a hold of us individually. I am at Bender Waffles, and Owen here is at OwenScott_P. You can find us on both Twitter and Instagram under both of those handles. Slide into Owen's DMs. Just see what happens.
That sounds really fucking creepy when you say it that way.
That was what I intended.
Nothing crazy will happen, I swear.
He might not even answer your goddamn DM.
I don't know, man.
I've been getting a shit ton of bots on Instagram.
Dude,
lately.
every day a bot.
Like it, but it's ramped up recently.
It's always like picture some hot ass girl with like a heart emoji, and it's like, do you think I'm that fucking stupid? You
like,
have
least,
no followers and no posts.
At least choose like a believable looking girl. Don't go like supermodel body without a head.
Also, you have no posts and no followers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna respond to that shit.
Like, fucking jack some random girl from the middle of fucking nowhere's pictures, put them up on your post, sit there for like 2 weeks, and then message me. Then it'll at least be a little bit believable. Anyways, we seriously just need to do an episode of Star Wipe Nights.
Where we just rant about shit.
Where we just rant about random shit. Anyways, guys, you can also check us out on all the major audio streaming platforms. We're available on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and now YouTube. And Stitcher. Nobody cares about Stitcher. Anyways, next week we will be back talking about... What are we talking about next week, Owen?
Good question.
I feel like we should, do more prep.
Oh, we absolutely should. Learn how to pronounce people's fucking names before we talk about them.
Right?
I do apologize for that.